Scene for this piece is De Vere's rundown council flat in Poplar. There's a clothing rack with stage costumes for his famous song characters, who include Clarissa of the Keys, Bertha of the Blackout, Bossy Flossie Nightingale, and Vicky the Grumpy Old Queen. There's an old chintz armchair, a table with a wind-up gramophone, and other chairs around. There's a full-length mirror. The time is autumn 1973, and the orchestration for this piece, which will be coming soon, is a piano trio and a piano solo for Valentine de Vere's songs. Scene 1, there is a record player. There is a record playing on the gramophone. De Vere is lying face down on the floor, half dressed. He was in the process of bandaging his poor ulcerated legs. One is done. The bandage falls away from the other. A jar of E45 dermatological cream lies open by him. He's motionless, and the record is playing. They call me the idol of the dockyards, because there's no one more idle, dear, than me. When there's lots of ropes to tie down, I just have to have a lie down. Workplace havoc with the coccyx, you'll see. While dockers all rush to and fro, I tell those dockers where to go. Try to get them down below. I'm Clarissa of the Keys, Clarissa of the Keys. When ships heave to, let joy be uncontrolled. In ones and twos and threes, from o'er the seven seas, can't wait to let them get me in their hold. Clarissa of the Keys, Clarissa of the Keys, welcome to the dockyard where you'll find me on me knees. I'm such an eager scrubber, and I'm trying hard to please. You could say that scrubbing's my vocation and my passion. I'm the only bit of meat that isn't on the ration. Clarissa of the Keys, Clarissa of the record is stuck in the groove. After a few minutes, there is a banging on the door.
Mr. De Vere? Mr. De Vere? Oh no, you're in there. I can hear the music. It's stuck in the groove.
Just like him, dreadful old man.
Don't be rude. He might be ill or hurt.
More banging on the door.
Mr. De Vere, we're coming in.
Shouldn't we call the police?
The fuss? You must be joking. I got an ounce of pot on me. Anyway, we never call the police to anything. Now, stand well back.
You're so butch.
The sound of a shoulder to the door. After a few blows, it gives way, and Walter falls into the room, followed by Penny. Penny goes to the gramophone and takes the needle off the record. Walter looks around.
Jeez, what a dump.
Look at these frocks. I told you he was a queen.
Can't have been cleaned in years. I daren't go in the kitchen.
This is real silk, you know, and the stitching is by hand.
Doing looking at that stuff? There's a sick old man here.
Goes to De Vere and tries to turn him over.
Should we call an ambulance?
No ambulance. I'll be fine.
Here, let me help you.
He lifts him towards the armchair.
Hey, you're heavy for an old broad.
That's quite enough of that. My name is Valentine de Vere, Mr. Valentine de Vere. There's nothing effeminate about me.
That's telling him, girl. Sorry, Mr. De Vere.
Walter goes to the kitchen.
And you are?
Penny Dreadful. Not my real name, of course. My camp name for the commune. We live in Pig Poplar. It's the squat on the corner, what used to be post office.
We? You and,
His name is Walter. Walter Craig.
Walter returns with a glass of water. De Vere waves it aside.
There's a 40-year-old single malt in the medicine cabinet in the bathroom. If you would be so kind, Mr. Craig, I take it with water. 50-50.
But
I'm sure it will be much more therapeutic. If you please. Thank you so much, Mr. Craig. And do please get one for yourself and for your friend.
Walter exits again.
Mr. Craig, he is your a special friend, isn't he?
Of course not. We don't believe in monogamy.
What are you doing here?
We're organising a children's party down at the squat on Sunday in the garden. We've got a magician and everything. We were going round the estate to tell people about it so they can send their children.
And do you think they will?
So far, no one slammed the door on us.
De Vere has recovered enough to carry on putting his bandages on. He talks the while.
You must forgive me, but since you came uninvited, you have to take me as you can find me. I'm never seen like this in public. And my public for the day is Mrs. Sandra Goodhart. Goodhart by name, Goodhart by nature. A well-meaning soul who means to tidy me away into an old folks' home where she can forget about me. She'll tick me off her list and let the flat to a nice young Asian family. But I will fight her all the way.
What will you do?
I will refuse to go. I will barricade myself in.
Walter re-enters with 3 glasses of scotch. They are generous doubles.
Did I hear the word barricade? Do we have a revolutionary here?
A council wants to chuck him out.
They will not succeed.
Walter gives him his scotch and Penny hers.
Thank you, Mr. Craig.
Penny knocks hers back.
Mr. Dreadful, you have just poured 10 shillings down your throat.
Blimey, that's 4 pints of beer.
I was given that bottle in 1952 by Maurice Chevalier after the Royal Variety performance.
Get away.
Over the dialogue, De Vere has finished bandaging his legs and pulls up a pair of deep purple velvet trousers. He smooths his shirt down.
He did not mean me to give it away for someone to knock back like orange squash. Look at Mr. Craig. Follow his example. He knows how to sip it, to roll it around the mouth.
You've rolled it round your mouth a few times, ain't you, girl?
I could tell he was a member of the aristocracy.
I am not. Not at all.
The aristocracy of America. The aristocracy of money. Over your Che Guevara t-shirt, you sport a bespoke Harris tweed herringbone jacket, which cost a good £130, and I'm sure you bought those working boots in Jermyn Street. Am I right?
Well,
Pass the socks.
Penny does so.
Are those real silk?
They are.
Penny puts a finger through a hole in it.
Ignore the hole. A gentleman never draws attention to his hole.
De Vere has made a very naughty double entendre and knows it, but remains po-faced. Penny splutters with laughter, but De Vere's manner forces him to keep a straight face, which makes it funnier. It is a moment of bonding. De Vere indicates Walter's boots.
Jermyn Street, am I right?
well,
And made to measure.
if you must know, my parents lived in Boston, in Beacon Hill, the Hamptons in the summer. They were what was called old money, planters of untold wealth, of vast lands and slaves. And I hate it.
De Vere is pulling on some well-worn but well-polished elastic-sided shoes.
Why do you think he goes with me? Commoners muck me. He's hoping it'll rub off.
I spend it as fast as I can, but it feels like I can never catch up.
Thanks to Walter, we're the best pointed squat east of Bethnal Green. Hot and cold and central heating. He's ever so generous. He always goes to demos in his Lamborghini.
You can borrow it if you like.
De Vere has finished getting his shoes on. He indicates the purple velvet suit jacket. Penny brings it and puts it on him, smoothing down the shoulders. For a moment, De Vere is back in the theatre and Penny is his dresser.
I have never learned to drive. I always had a chauffeur when I needed one.
He looks in the mirror. He takes a silk scarf and throws it over his shoulder, arranges it.
Well, maybe we can drive you.
The only place Walter drives you is insane.
Maybe we can take you to a gay day.
A gay what?
A gay day. It's like a picnic, but with pride.
We got these letters sewn on sacks with sequins. Everybody wears a letter.
Spells out gay liberation.
I'm always the G. I like to be on the end. And it matches my skin tones.
De Vere has taken a large Victorian diamond brooch and pinned it to his scarf. He wheels and faces them.
Mr. Craig, Mr. Dreadful, you have been most kind, but now I must ask you to leave.
We want to support you in your fight with the fascists on the council.
Sisterhood is powerful.
Exactly what do you think I am?
Indicating De Vere's outfit.
It's obvious, isn't it?
What is obvious, Mr. Dreadful?
Well, look at yourself. You must be gay.
Oh, there it goes again. Why did they ruin that pretty little word? When I was young, we had gay parties, and they were gay affairs. It was a light, transparent word, light and gossamer and sparkling. And what do we have now? Gay power, gay rights, heavy, worthy, self-righteous, dull.
A bell rings before they can reply.
Ah, my public awaits. Bring on the chorus, girls. Let the show commence.
He has transformed, become larger than life. He exits.
What a hideous monument to the bad old days. A prime example of self-oppression.
I think he's rather sweet. I think he'd like our fairy frolics.
De Vere re-enters with Mrs. Goodhart.
You must excuse the state of the state apartments, Mrs. Goodhart. The chambermaid has not had time to tidy. Be seated, please. La mia casa è la tua casa.
That's Italian. My house is your house.
I know. I've had enough Italian waiters.
I won't beat about the bush, Mr. De Vere.
Oh, please, Mrs. Goodhart, don't stand on formality. Call me Valentine.
Now, Mr. De Vere, don't try to distract me with your charm. You know why I'm here.
Charm? Would I be so underhand? Have you ever known me to be charming?
Who are they? Are they your next of kin?
I have no next of kin. My sister died 3 years ago. She did not approve of me.
We're only neighbours who are concerned.
We could be next to kin.
Shut up.
Concerned? What about? Have you had any of your turns again? He passed out a week ago, left the gas on under a pot of soup. The smoke was pouring out of the flat. Next door called the caretaker. The caretaker called the fire brigade. The fire brigade called an ambulance.
All that fuss. There was no harm. I didn't even need to throw away the saucepan.
You were unconscious for at least an hour.
I was asleep. I'd had a bad night.
I have those, especially after a night on the juice.
With one of those Italian waiters.
You can make all the excuses you like, Mr. De Vere. That won't change the fact. You're a danger to yourself, you're a danger to others, you're a fire hazard!
I don't think so. Velvet is quite fire retardant. I can spray it with borax if you insist.
This is no laughing matter. Don't you see, Mr. De Vere, I'm worried about you. I mean, look at the state of your flat. The dirt is inches deep.
It has been for years. So what? The rubbish goes out regularly. There are no crumbs or scraps for cockroaches or mice.
Only because you hardly feed yourself. Look at you. You're skin and bone. You only live on soup and crackers. I've seen the empty tins in your bin.
I eat within my means, so that I may drink above them. Champagne, anyone?
What right do you have to order this man around?
Who are these men? Are they friends of yours?
I don't rightly know. They came in and rescued me from the floor. This is Mr. Craig, and this is Mr. Dreadful. Mr. Craig is some kind of revolutionary, I believe, and Mr. Dreadful is Mr. Dreadful.
We live in a squat, pink poplar.
The one the neighbours all complain about. The council has been trying to get you out.
That rhymes. You're a poet. The neighbours don't all complain. We're putting on a children's party and nobody's objected.
But nobody will come, you'll see.
Answer my question. By what right do you order him around? What arrogance asserts that you know better than he does about what is good for him? Benign despotism is not enough.
But we do know better. We have his interests at heart. When you get to Mr. de Vere's age, you get confused. You cling on to what you know and what is comfortable, even if it's killing you.
Funny how I've now become invisible. Please don't talk about me as if I've left the room.
It is killing you. Can't you see that?
And what is so very dreadful about death? People cling on so to beauty, money, life at all costs. We must have life. Take the pills, run around, watch the weight, cut out the booze, cut out the fat, cut out the fun.
Do you really want to die, Mr. de Vere?
I would rather die than live a half-life.
Aren't you afraid of it?
Why should I be?
I see. You believe in heaven?
Certainly not. I could not join a heavenly choir. I am a natural soloist.
What do you think will happen to you if you stay here?
Well, I hope I'll be sitting here, like this. Probably on my own, but let us assume, for argument's sake, talking to you. My heart will stop, my eyes will glaze over, perhaps I'll clutch my throat for breath. Ah, or perhaps would you prefer La Traviata? And then I will topple to the floor, and I'll be gone, as if I had never been here. Blackout, curtain, the end. You can drag the carcass out, do with it what you will. In the words of my good friend Leslie Saroni, ain't it grand to be blimmin' well dead?
Don't you mind?
Why should I mind? What's the point? Nobody can change it. Anger is so bad for the complexion.
What about your work, your reputation?
My reputation, such as it is, will soon be buried in the sands of time. My work as distant as Dan Leno's.
Who's Dan Leno?
Hang on a jiff. What work? What reputation?
Don't you know? Valentine de Vere was a huge star before the war. Big as no coward. My mother thought him wonderful.
Now to this we are come. Eviction.
Removal to a place of safety. We have a lovely nursing home. You'll have the best of care, we'll feed you properly, give you exercise, a sing-song every week.
What kind of songs? I have no idea. I have no wish to know the distance to Tipperary.
There's no point on carrying on like this. The authority has decided. You cannot go on living here, and that's an end to it. Your doctor agrees.
What do doctors know? My doctor thought I had cancer of the colon when it was just a bad case of piles.
Surely we can fight this.
There are lawyers come to our GLF.
We can find someone to speak on your behalf.
That's one thing I have never needed. I have never been at a loss for words.
Now, don't be stubborn.
The decision has been made. I'm going now to get your doctor to sign the relevant forms. I advise you, Mr. de Vere, get ready for the short journey.
To the grave.
To the Cedars. It's very nice. You'll have a nice big room. You'll only share it with one other.
I have never shared a room with anyone. My visitors have always been strictly come and go. A shared room? It might as well be the grave. It's my idea of hell.
I'll be back to supervise your move on Monday. Meantime, I advise you, decide what you want to bring with you. A few photos, some trinkets. There isn't room for all this.
Memorabilia. That's what it is.
Then perhaps a museum would like it.
It is my life. I'll be dead in a month.
From what you say, that's no big deal. I'll see myself out.
She exits. De Vere gets up. He becomes slightly faint as he does so, but steadies himself. Deep breath.
I think we could all do with a nice cup of tea. I hope you're both happy with Earl Grey.
He exits.
I know what you're thinking. It's out of the question.
Why? The squat is huge. There's lots of spare rooms on the second floor.
Which he can't reach, those stairs.
Put a stair lift in.
Which he will be too proud to use.
I'd love to have a gay granddad.
Didn't you hear? He isn't gay. He's in the closet. How will he deal with 20 raging queers coming and going at all hours? Tripping half the time on LSD.
De Vere enters again.
Are you talking about money? Only people who don't talk about it. Only people who don't have any talk about money.
No, Mr. De Vere, I was talking about drugs.
There are lots of drugs at the squat. Walter thinks you won't approve.
I don't care if he approves or not.
Ah, drugs. That takes me back. Cocaine in the 20s. I used to go to dinner parties where Lady Diana Cooper served cocaine in salt cellars, one at each end of the table.
No.
Oh, yes. Everybody used it then. Queen Victoria, I believe, was very fond of it.
No.
I was introduced to it on the Western Front by Siegfried Sassoon before the Battle of the Somme. He had it sent from Harrods by his brother, a welcome present to friends on the front. I remember there was morphine, too, in the kit, and a syringe as well. Of course, cocaine is a godsend at an orgy, greatly enhances the prowess. Barbara Cartland gave the most marvellous parties, orgies in all but name, full of naked men and dope. Ivor and Noel came to them often.
Ivor?
Ivor Novello, before your time, and Noel Coward. He died, alas, some months ago. We sent each other cards for 40 years at Christmas time. I always wrote "Happy Birthday to you" on his. Noel? Noel? Christmas? I used to call him the first Noel, and of course he was. Incomparable.
He was an uptight closet queen, a reactionary and a bigot.
Noel never concerned himself with politics. He was an artist.
A reactionary hack. Maids in uniform, French windows. Anyone for tennis?
Artists are neither right nor left. Artists are above. He was my friend, and very kind. I would be obliged, Mr. Craig, if you would respect my feelings.
Mr. De Vere.
Yes, Mr. Craig?
Nothing.
This is lovely too. Let it go. He wouldn't understand. Will you be all right?
Respect. Respect. All we hear is demands for respect. Respect the traditions. Respect our good intentions. Respect your elders and betters. Respect the feelings of others. We are paralyzed by respect.
We ought to go.
I am entirely recovered, thank you, Mr. Dreadful.
In that case, we should go. There's several blocks we still have to leaflet.
I understand. Your public too awaits.
We could come and help you pack on Sunday. Help you chuck things out.
Indicating gramophone.
That thing might be worth some money.
Thank you, Mr. Craig. That will not be necessary.
He's going to barricade himself in. Remember? You are, aren't you? It'll be very dramatic. I can't wait.
Goodbye, Mr. Dreadful. Goodbye, Mr. Craig. You must be going.
He shoos them out.
What can I do? Have I the strength left to fight? Every day it gets more difficult to be Valentine de Vere. The stairs get steeper. The shops recede into the distance. The legs get weaker. Gramophone might be worth some money. Ah, the store of my reputation, my talent, my memories, my money, my life. No, no, I will not fade or go without a fight. While there is breath in me, a door to knock, a key to turn, I will stand. As long as I can stand, I will stand here. The candle will blaze before it gutters and splutters and fades to nothing. Here I have lived, here I will die.
Sees his own performance. Ironic.
Not bad, not bad. The local press will love it.
Slow fade. Scene 2. Outside the flat, Walter and Penny arguing.
How can we?
He won't be any trouble.
What do you mean? He'll be nothing but trouble. Look how old he is.
How can you be so ageist? You, of all people.
I don't mean it like that, but he is old. You know, he has blackouts. He falls.
If he falls, we pick him up.
If we're there at the time.
There's always someone there. It's a squat, for Christ's sake. There's never less than 15 people, always someone still in bed.
Yeah, screwing or stoned. I wouldn't trust a frail old man with any of them.
It's better than an old folks' home, full of straight, smelling of pee.
He'll smell of pee.
Rubbish, didn't you smell the perfume?
To hide the smell of pee.
We must have him. He's our history, our roots. We need him to remind us who we are.
We are struggle. We are revolution, with our sisters in liberation, with our black brothers in power. We are not Noel and Ivor and Barbara fucking Cartland.
We have a duty to care for our own.
We have a duty to change society, not to apply a sticking plaster to it.
I remember at one of the weekly meetings, they proposed a fighting fund for gay men to contest entrapment cases, for cottage and soliciting offences, to pay for legal fees and fines, but you opposed it.
Too right I did. We should be making life worse, not better, for the ordinary gay. That's the only way to stir them up. We need to make them so mad that they riot in the street. We need to have our own Stonewall. Paying legal fees is pissing cash away for nothing. Is Valentine going to advance the revolution?
Not rotting in an old folks home, he ain't.
He's simply an irrelevance. There are better ways to fund rebellion.
Oh, you fucking hypocrite. Who has more money than he can piss away? Who gets his daddy's dividends from oil and exploitation? You could pay for the courts in London. You could buy a flat for Valentine. Out of your small change.
Okay. I'll buy him a fucking flat.
Except it will not give him what he needs. Care, love, attention. He'll set fire to it one day and still be taken into care. He needs the commune. He needs us.
The others will never agree.
How do you know? Oh yes, people always do what you want, don't they? Oh, the entitlement of the rich and spoiled. If you're so sure, put it to the test. Take it to the House meeting. See what they'll say. And I'll speak up for Valentine.
Hey, what's happened to you? When did you get so mouthy all of a sudden?
When I saw what heartless shit I was going with.
Okay. Put it to the others in the house.
And you'll abide by what they say.
I suppose so.
You see, that wasn't so hard, was it?
A frail old man. Who needs him? They'll never take him. He'll be in the way. What a drag. Nothing but demands, nothing but needs. We are young. We are strong. We must get on with the struggle. We haven't time to care for a frail old man.
What a gorgeous queen. They'll love him. How I can see him. He'll be holding court in no time. We can learn from him. See how we were. He's our past, he's our roots, and he's funny. Camp as Christmas. And we need him there. Such a strong, old...
Just a burden.
A survivor.
We must leave him.
To be cherished.
Life's too short.
Life's too short.
To wallow in the past.
We need to know our past.
Cut out the deadwood.
Take inspiration
from the past. Let the commune decide.
Crossfade to scene 3. Inside De Vere's flat. He has put his clothes rack, minus clothes and other furniture, against the door. Only the gramophone is not pressed into service. He stands leaning against it in an attitude of defiance. The barricade is rather pathetic. A peremptory knock. We can also see Mrs. Goodhart outside at the door.
Mr. DeVere, it's Mrs. Goodhart here. You must stop being childish. You cannot fight social services. We know best is for your own good.
A pause. DeVere doesn't move.
There's no point in this. I have the police here and a warrant to enter. In a few moments, I'll ask them to break the door down.
Another pause, another silence.
I shall ask the officer to effect an entry on a count of 5. Ready, officer?
Another pause.
I really do not want to do this, Mr. DeVere. I do not want to damage council property.
My property? What of that? My records and my pictures and my costumes?
Those two, of course. 1, 2, 3.
Penny and Walter
4.
rush in.
Halt! Cease! Desist!
Hold that policeman.
In my dreams.
Walter produces 2 important-looking pieces of paper.
I have here an affidavit, a commitment made by Penny here and me to take care of Mr. DeVere in the Pink Poplar Commune. It's drawn up by Sir David Napley. He is Jeremy Thorpe's solicitor and knows my father. He's much concerned with human rights and miscarriages of justice.
Mr. DeVere, it's us. We've come to collect you and take you to the commune. You're in, doll.
But what if I don't want to live in any commune?
Don't be an annoying old faggot. You could come with us or go and rot in the cedars. Take your pick. Now let us in. Please.
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 DeVere hesitates a long moment, then moves the coat rack out of the way. He unlocks the door. Penny and Walter push through. They clear a space so Mrs. G can follow.
What are you doing standing there? You'll do your legs no good. Go and sit down.
DeVere does so. He's tired from the efforts of defiance, rather shrunken.
I'm afraid this will do you no good at all. It needs to be a relative or someone with power of attorney. This undertaking isn't worth the paper that it's written on. The doctor's commitment still stands. I will call the policeman in to assist me.
I also have here a lasting power of attorney, which Mr. DeVere only has to sign, and we will be jointly and severally entitled to take Mr. DeVere
into custody.
You stop this. We're trying to help you. You're being very ungracious.
Otherwise, I also have a statutory declaration in which Mr. DeVere nominates me and or Penny as next of kin. This too will entitle us to snatch him from your clutches.
You could be the witness if you like the matron of honour at a wedding.
And do I have no say in this?
Of course you have a choice, next of kin or power of attorney. What was so clever at that kind of thing?
Or go to the Cedars.
When you are old, the walls close in, the choices shrink, the pathways get more narrow.
And you can bring all your lovely things. Play us your records, tell us all your stories.
I won't have to sleep with anyone, will I?
They'll be throwing themselves at you, but you can always say no. So that's not very polite.
There's the sorting room at the back. It has running water. I thought we could turn it into a granny flat.
Granny flat be buggered. The star dressing room and trailer.
Whatever.
And of course we'll cook for you. It's all macrobiotic, of course, and ever so healthy.
Oh, you're too kind. I think I'd find baked beans so much more convenient.
You can have one of the new ovens, a microwave. We'll import one from America. They're the latest thing.
What is a microwave?
It heats the dish by agitating the electrons.
Sort of makes your shepherd's pie to the shimmy.
Now that I would like to see.
Of course, I shall have to see the commune. There are certain standards to observe, cleanliness and safety.
What do you take us for?
We're not all hippies.
Then there's the question of drugs.
You can't have any. We'll see about you.
I don't know what to do. I don't want to be in anybody's way. I always swore that I would not be a burden.
I can assure you, we will not allow you to become a burden.
No, we'll put you down if you start whinging.
I hope you will.
Tell you what, we'll choke you to death with your ostrich feathers.
I shall insist that you come to tea, all of you, every Sunday afternoon. Earl Grey and the Clarice Cliff and cucumber sandwiches.
Cucumber sandwiches, repeat on me. I said, cucumber sandwiches, repeat on me.
He falls out of his own joke. Walter glares.
You must come too, Mrs. J. You've been arguing with me so long and bossing me around, you feel like family.
You'll have to sign one of these first before we can release you. You don't get away that easily.
Attorney or next of kin? Which is it to be?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
Closes his eyes and chooses one. Penny looks at which one he's chosen.
Daddy!
Rushes into his arms.
We need a witness.
I'll be honoured.
She signs.
But I'll still need monthly visits and regular reports.
Don't worry, we'll visit you. Poor old soul. Here, you'd best get everything packed.
It already is.
So you're going to move all along? You sly old...
Well, sometimes one must surrender to the hand of fate.
I bet you've surrendered to some hands in your time.
Don't be vulgar, Mr. Dreadful.
I apologise, Monsieur de Vere.
Stop gossiping, you two. The others will be here in 15 minutes.
Others?
From the commune. We have volunteers. You don't think we're going to move all this tat ourselves? Only joking. These priceless antiques ourselves.
Don't talk about my grandfather that way.
I don't mind being an antique, as long as I'm priceless.
We'd better hurry. You'll need a quick rehearsal.
Rehearsal?
For the children's party. You're the main entertainment. You're on at 4 o'clock. Did you know we've got an old Joanna? Though when those postmen found time to play it, I've got no idea. But Kitty on the knees is training for a concert pianist. You should fire to the martinis on that one.
Oh, far to the martinis. I haven't heard that phrase for 30 years.
So get your arse in gear.
Oh, I don't know about this, though. I don't know if I'm suitable. I mean, my material.
Come off it. This is 1973. Oz has had a school kids issue up in court as a dirty magazine. Kids today. They've seen it all. Done it too, more like. To them, you'll be as naughty as Enid Blyton. Now, hurry up. I've got to iron your costume too, before you make your entrance. They'll love you.
I've always enjoyed a warm hand on my entrance.
He rummages in a box and produces the special scotch. A search only produces one mug. Takes a sip.
To pastures new.
He passes the mug to Mrs. G, who takes a swig and coughs. It goes to Walter, then Penny. They sing To Pastures New in a round.
Go on, you can have a swig. I don't think Mr. Chevalier would mind. Besides, he's dead. And me, I'm alive.
To change.
To love.
To life!
I'm alive.
Blackout. Scene 4. The party. Noise of children. De Vere quells them with a look. De Vere is Queen Victoria. It is not full drag. Like Douglas Byng, he achieves the effect with the merest suggestion. A shawl, a tea towel on his head, a small silver bowl for a crown. Piano introduction.
You see me with me orb and me sceptre in me hand. It's a sceptre, filthy minds. You see me with me orb and me sceptre in me hand. Me sceptre's only kept to stir me tea with. I keep you on your toes by looking down me nose. People say I'm not the gayest gal to be with. And so they call me Vicky the grumpy old queen, grumpy and frumpy as Crimpeline. When I think of all your sins, I shake me head and wobble me chins. Oh, oh, oh. If you talk to me, you must keep it clean, because I'm Vicky. I'm Vicky, the grumpy old queen. As I remarked to me aide-de-camp, a bit more aide and a bit less camp, if you don't mind. As I remarked to me aide-de-camp, look at me on the postage stamp. They've got me left side, not me right side. They might at least have shown me bright side. He said, you should be full of cheer, not grim and glum and so austere, because everyone licks you on the rear, Vicky, you grumpy old queen. We were not amused. I'm Vicky, the grumpy old queen, wrapped like a parcel in bombazine. Sons and grandsons by their dozens, all of Europe's kings, me cousins. We lost a few to the guillotine, but not Vicky, the grumpy old queen. I plunged in mourning when Albert died, but soon John Brown was there at my side. He kept me as busy as I could be. I loved the feel of his knobkery. I told protesters, don't be silly, he's not me hubby, he's me gilly, and who else should take me up the dilly? I'm Vicky, the grumpy old queen. Oh, yes, he's taken me up the dilly more times than I've had hot banquets. Mind you, he's not a patch on Albert, my dear husband. Albert was an exhibitionist. In fact, he was a great exhibitionist. Built a crystal palace just so he could name a football team after it. I'll never forget when he took me to see it in Hyde Park. I said, Albert, what a magnificent erection. And the palace isn't bad either. I'm Vicky, the grumpy old queen, been on the throne since sweet 18. That's nearly 15 years. It's true, the lighting here is cruelly deceptive. 15 years I've been sat on that throne, and constipation's something chronic. Nothing but a plunger can shift it. I'm Vicky, the grumpy old queen, been on the throne since sweet 18. When Albert came, it was love at first sight. On his knees, he was just my height. After he'd begun to propose, he said, I've a secret I must disclose. I've got a ring, and I've got a spare. It's kept quite safe. I bet you can't guess where. I never knew rings could be kept down there. I said, Albert, you're rather obscene. I'm Vicky, the grumpy old queen. I'm Vicky, the grumpy old queen, rich as Croesus and frightfully mean. I own the world. The map's all pink, and pink is so gay. I own the world. The map's all pink. Everything in the kitchen sink. I'm laden from Aden to Aberdeen. I'm Vicky, the grumpy old queen. I'm Vicky, the grumpy old queen. Oh, if you cross me, I will make a scene. I've seen prime ministers come and go. They all get the old heave-ho. I just flush them down the latrine, otherwise known as the House of Lords. I'm Vicky, the grumpy old queen. I had Mr. Gladstone and Mr. Disraeli, a terrible flirt who teased me daily. He said to me gaily, call me Dizzy, which put me in the most frightful tizzy. If I call you Dizzy, I told him, laddie, I'll have to call Mr. Gladstone Gladdy, or else he'll be ever so green. And though I'm frightfully keen, I will not be known as the Dizzy Queen when I'm Vicky, the grumpy old queen. I'm Vicky, the grumpy old queen, and though you think I'm a has-been, I'm still all around you. Ask any historian. My attitudes live, and they're quite dinosaurian. Better watch out for those values Victorian. They're everywhere still to be seen. Thanks to Vicky, call me picky. Vicky, I'm so tricky. Vic, don't take the mickey. Vicky, the grumpy old queen.